Crimson Desert may just be one of the most controversial games of all time. Definitely the most controversial one I've ever played. The discourse being, is Crimson Desert truly worth buying? And I'm going to answer that question for you today. The main discussion being, what kind of game is Crimson Desert? Is it an open world game? Is it an RPG, action adventure? Is it an MMO? We're going to go over some of the combat. Finally, we'll go over a pros and cons list and also what to expect while playing this game. So sit back and enjoy the rest of the video. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Buskets. I want to keep this video short and sweet, so let's just get into it. So from my point of view, I think one of the first questions consumers might ask is, what kind of game is this? What genre is this? What am I getting into with Crimson Desert? And now I have about 10 to 15 hours in my personal experience. It definitely falls under the category as an open world action adventure game. But I would also say it has properties of maybe an RPG style or MMO style. But open world action adventure is definitely, what I would gravitate towards. I've seen a lot of people make the comparisons of Witcher 3, Red Dead Redemption 2, Breath of the Wild, Zelda. Now, I can say maybe the game feels similar to those, but definitely don't expect a narrative-driven story in Crimson Desert compared to those titles. So now that goes into, what are you expecting from this game? Do not expect a narrative-driven story with character arcs and, great world building, with the environment. It's just not that kind of game. So don't expect an amazing story. Now, what you can expect is you can expect yourself to be exploring this map a ton. I mean, the map is absolutely massive. Now that takes us to the combat. At least more complex than a lot of games out there of this style. Especially with the controls, I won't call them bad or weird, but they definitely went a different direction than most games of this genre or style would go. And so if you're cool with learning a slightly different, control scheme from what you're used to, then it'll feel just fine to you. But there's tons of combos, there's tons of variety of weapons, and there is a skill tree, which I assume by the end you can basically have it maxed out, but up until that point you can kind of progress how you want to. So once you have all these combos, once you have all these skills and it's just clicking in your brain like that, it does feel very rewarding. So those two things I really wanted to touch on, what kind of game was it and the combat. I think those are the two most, decisive things when it comes to if you want to buy the game. Those are the hooks. And we'll get into a quick pros and cons list. We'll go with the cons first so we can end on a high note. The UI and inventory system, although it did just receive a patch, if I'm right, the UI and inventory is definitely a little confusing. There's just a lot in your face at once. And so unless you're, having longer sessions with the game, it can be a little confusing. Same with the combat. If they can simplify it just a little bit with the next few patches, then really it should be fine. And again, the story and writing, like I said, don't expect, a lot of story and a lot of complex writing in this game. But I guess that would have to be a con if that's what you were looking for. And then again, the controls. Like I said, they're not bad. They're just a little odd. And I will note one more thing. Sometimes the game doesn't feel ultra responsive, which I guess games like this, it doesn't have, that snappy, crispy kind of movement or whatever like that. But I do feel like sometimes it responds better than other times, if that makes sense. Now, on to the pros. Visuals, it looks great. I have mine just on balance. I have a really good PC, but I just have it on balance, so I get the best of both worlds. And I haven't had really any issues. Traversal. There are tons of different ways to get across the map. There's fast travel. You can glide down from the abyss. There's multiple different mounts. There's, a horse, a bear, a dragon. Did see in one of the trailers that someone was using a jetpack. I don't know. Large scale dynamic world. Like I said, this map is huge and it's a very dynamic and reactive world. You're not just exploring random caves or random areas and nothing's going on. There's always some NPCs you can interact with. There's always random camps that you can fight and take control of. There's different climates. A lot of fun stuff to interact with within the world. And another thing, no microtransactions. Yeah. But yeah, in conclusion, if you enjoy exploring a vast open world, you enjoy, some arcadey combat with, different kind of weapons and skills. There are actually 2 other characters you can use and they have their own unique skills. I forgot to mention that. Then this is definitely the game for you. If this video helped you decide whether you want to buy Crimson Desert or not, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.